The book of Esther, chapter 4. And we're only going to read a few verses. The book of Esther, and it's Job. Esther is right before Job. So you know it's Esther, Job, and then Psalms. Amen. Chapter 4, verses 11, and we're going to read 11 through 17. And it says, all the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house, more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thou peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bid them return. Mordecai this answered, go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. You may be seated. And for a topic today, we're going to talk about for such a time as this. Amen. For such a time as this. And you know, we look around us and we see everything that's going on in the world. We see what's going on in our churches, in our homes, in our communities, on our job, our social clubs, whatever we're involved in, we see what's going on. And then we see how we are plugged into that. And we wonder why sometimes, Lord, why me? Amen. Because all of it is not good. All of it is not bad. But God is saying, I've called you to this purpose for such a time as this. See, we all in our appointed places at our appointed time. This is what God wanted us, y'all. But sometimes we can't understand it. Why me, Lord? Why me? Because God got a job for us to do. And it's for such a time as this. Because we are in our season right now. We keep saying, well, I'm waiting for my season. You already in your season. All we got to do is work a work that God has called us to do. See, he's called each and every one of us to do something. To do something in our homes. to do something in wherever it is that we are acting, church, wherever, God has called us for a purpose to do these things.
Yes, he did. Preach it.
So we need to realize what our purpose is. We all got a purpose. And everything that God allows us to go through is to perfect us for such a time as this.
All right, come on, preach.
When you see people go to school and they graduate from high school, they go to college, they graduate from college, they get a job. See, that whole time God was preparing them for such a time as this. You can't be in high school and decide, well, you know, I'm just going to drop out of high school. Or I'm just not going to go to college. But I want to be an electrical engineer. It don't work like that. I want to be a surgeon. I want to operate on people, but I want to stop when I finish high school. It don't work like that. God prepares us for such a time as this. So when we go to school and we studying them books and everybody else all partying, they going to the nightclub, they hanging out, but you at home studying them books, you at home reading the material, you at home doing the classwork. Because God is preparing you for such a time as this. And God has prepared each and every one of us, but we don't recognize our purpose. Some of us say, well, you know, I didn't go to school. If you didn't go to school, guess what? God has prepared you for such a time as this. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from going to school. But some of the smartest people in the world with so much wisdom didn't go to school. But see, wisdom comes from God.
Amen.
And my mom always tell me, sometimes she used to say the worst thing is an educated fool. Because sometimes you can be so educated, but you don't have no common sense.
Right.
In other words, you don't have no wisdom. But we know we try to prepare our children, and we're encouraging our children to go to college. We're encouraging them to prepare themselves. Because we know the world that we live in today is so competitive. Until they already got a few strikes against them. And if they don't go to school, it's going to make them harder. But whatever the situation is, God has prepared you. Sometimes we go through sickness, heartache, pain, financial problems. And we fighting it. We fighting it. Lord, why me? Why I'm going through this sickness? Why me? Why I can't pay my bills? Why me? Why I can't get a good job that's going to give me the money I need to be able to do the things I need to do? Because God is preparing us. We got to go through some hard times sometime to get to what God is preparing us for. So when you look at this story about Esther, it says special laws protected the Persian king. Esther 1:14 refers to the 7 princes who had access to the king's presence. These were the chief nobles who were his advisors. Only a person summoned by the king could visit him, a custom which signified his royalty, as well as protected him from would-be assassins. Esther feared going to Ahasuerus without being called because the punishment for such a visit was death. So we see Mordecai told to them to answer Esther, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than any other Jew. So we all know the story of Esther. And her cousin Mordecai, he was letting her know, if you don't go to the king, even though there are rules, there are laws set up, you are not going to escape. And sometimes, what God is trying to tell us here, sometimes it might seem like we sitting in the palace and all of our people is at the gate outside the palace and they need our help. But because this don't directly affect us, we don't want to help those people. Because we like, you know, I'm in the king's palace. I got it made. Why do I want to let this king know who I am? He don't know I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew just like all the ones outside the gate. But the king don't know I'm a Jew. So if I can stay hidden and concealed, yeah, they might die, but ain't nothing going to happen to me. Don't we see it all the time, y'all? We see it in politics. We see it on our jobs. We see it in every area of life. But what Mordecai was telling her, don't think that you're going to get away free. Because when old guy Haman, when he get through killing all the Jews, guess what? They're going to find out you a Jew. And you're not going to be safe either.
That's right, that's right.
That's what he's telling them. You're not going to be safe either. So you need to, what God is trying to tell us is that don't let the devil use you to do his dirty work. Because the devil would try to use us to do his dirty work. And the Lord is trying to tell us, be wise as a serpent.
That's right.
And harmless as a dove. We got to be wise, y'all. We living in some bad times right now.
That's right. We are.
We living in some bad times.
Amen.
I think it's worse now in America than it's been, I can't even, since the 1950s and 60s. Let's go there, because I lived during the 60s. I know how it was during the 60s. Things are trying to digress. Take us back to the 60s. What they call the great days, the good old days. So it says, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? See, what he's telling them is, what Mordecai is trying to tell Esther is, this is going to get done. This is God's work. It's going to happen. And God want to use you to do it. But if you shy away from it because it's a sacrifice to you, or if you shy away from it because it's too much of a problem, it's inconveniencing me. You know, I got my own family, my own children, my own this, my own that. I don't have time to fool with you and your family and your children. I got my own money, my own big bank account and everything else. I don't have time to fool with you not having no money. I got my own mama, my own daddy, and everybody else to talk to. I don't have time to fool with you, with your motherless self. What the word is saying is that the job will get done with you
Or without you.
or without you. And somebody else gonna get the glory.
Amen.
Somebody else gonna get the credit. Somebody else gonna get the money.
Right.
Somebody else gonna get the benefits. But see, God had chosen you for such a time as this. But you didn't want to deal with the sacrifice. Anything worth having, you're going to sacrifice something. You're going to give up something.
That's right.
Ain't nothing going to walk in freely. And he's saying you got to take the sacrifice. You got to take the suffering. Because anything that comes to you too easy, guess what? It ain't always good for you.
Set up.
I mean, y'all think about it. Think about it. Some of these young people, they don't know what I'm talking about. But the older people, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. If it come to you too easy,
Yep.
Something funny.
you better run.
Don't stop me to shout.
You got to know
Yes.
that God has a job to be done, and he want to use us.
Amen.
So we should be saying, I'm here, Lord. It's me, Lord. I'm ready. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Use me, Lord. Say, use me while I'm available. While I can still walk and talk and hear. Still in my right mind. Use me, Lord. That I can help somebody along the way. Because if I keep living, the day is going to come that I'm going to need some help. But while I'm still able to help somebody, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if I can help somebody along the way, he said, my living ain't going to be in vain. My living is only in vain when I'm just doing everything for me. Everything that's going to make me happy. Everything that's going to give me peace. I can't let you inconvenience me. I can't let you get too close. Ain't nothing in that. Your blessings come when you can help somebody else. One of the things my mother always told me, she said, you know, Rose, I never had a lot of money. But one thing I always had, I knew how to cook. And people that have eaten and sit under my mama's table, they know she could cook. And not only could she cook, she loved to cook. She lived through the week, buying a piece here, buying a piece there to prepare for Sunday feast. And my mama used to love to cook for the pastors and their wives and stuff. So I grew up in a home where the pastor and his wife always came to our house to eat. Even when she was married to my dad, he would still allow the pastor and the wife to come over and eat. And she wouldn't just cook no one meat. My mama had 3 or 4 meats in there. She didn't go to the grocery store and buy cake mix. She would take that flour and that sugar and them eggs and that real butter and mix that stuff up.
That's right.
But she say, that's how I bless other people.
Amen.
Because I cook for them. And then I invite them over. And she showed much hospitality. They didn't have to get up from the table and do nothing. She had a lot of children. Rose, go in the kitchen and get the pastor a glass of water. They didn't have to get up and do nothing. because that's the way that was her way of giving back. So it doesn't matter what we got. We can't use that as an excuse. God has given each and every one of us something to bless somebody else.
Amen.
Somebody told me this week, and it might have been one of you, say the way I give back is I talk to people. And if it was you, raise your hand. I talk to people. That's a blessing. You don't know how many lonely people it is.
Oh, yeah.
In the world.
That's right.
There's so many lonely people.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wish they had somebody to talk to them. Just a kind word. Just somebody to listen to them. Just somebody they can vent to. And so you may think, but I don't have nothing to give. Oh yeah, you got something to give. Because just to talk to them people, just to listen, just to be still long enough and not get impatient with them, just to listen to them and make them feel special and let them know that it's all about them. Don't start interjecting what's going on in your life and what you going through. They calling to tell you their stomach is hurting. You don't start telling them, well, girl, my head is hurting too. They don't want to hear that. That's not what they call for. Sometimes people just need somebody to listen. God has given us. He has equipped us. And if we don't do it, guess what? He got somebody else to do it.
Amen.
And that's what Mordecai was telling Esther. Esther, don't think, baby, that because you high up on the horse, you in the palace house, you have access to the king, even though we know the law. I just read you the law. We knew you couldn't go before the king unless he put out the scepter. And if he didn't, they could kill you. We knew that was the law. So we know you taking a risk to go to the king. But sometimes you got to be courageous enough to take a risk.
That's right.
Even when you know you might lose it all. You got to take that risk. You got to be courageous. And that's what the word was saying. Don't think that you're going to get by. Don't think you're going to get away with it. Because you're not. This may be very well your purpose right now. You might be walking into your purpose right now. You don't even know it. You might have a child that needs you right now. But because you don't want to inconvenience yourself, you won't spend time with that child. It could be your own child. It could be your grandchild. It could be somebody else's child. Somebody that's no relationship with you. But because sometimes we so selfish and so self-centered, we don't want to give these people our time. And God is saying, this is your season. I put this child into your life for such a time as this.
Amen.
Stop neglecting that child. Stop not spending time with that child. Embrace that child. God wants to use us, but we keep pushing everything he keeps sending our way. We keep pushing it back. This is not what I asked for, Lord. Then Esther told them to return this answer to Mordecai. Go gather all the Jews who are present in Shittim and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise. And so I will go to the king, which is against the law, And if I perish, I perish. We're not even living under the law. We know we have to obey the law.
That's right. That's right.
But we have faith to believe that if God tell us to do something, and it's coming from God, he got us. He going to watch over us. So this was against the law, what Malachi was asking her to do. But she said, I'm going to do it. And if I die, if I perish, let me perish. Because I'm going to see the king. When Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and all of those people that walked during the civil rights time, a lot of things they did was against the law, man-made law, because they didn't want us to vote. There was a lot of other things. They didn't want us to go in certain establishments. They didn't want us to intermingle with each other. Whole lot of things. They wanted us to go to the back of the bus. They wanted us to be subservient. They wanted to have all the good jobs and let us have the crummy jobs. They didn't want to pay us what we was worth. I don't care how many degrees you had. They didn't even want us to go to school. Didn't want us to read. So they broke laws. They went to jail so that we could have the right to equality.
Yes.
So that we could have the right that our children can go to the best schools. So that we could have the right that our children can live in the big pretty houses.
That's right. That's right.
That our children could drive the nice cars. Martin Luther King said in so many words, if I perish, I perish. I'm going in the courthouse today.
Come on, preacher.
If I perish, I perish. I'm a march. If they knock me upside the head with a club, I'm going. If they take water hose and shoot it all over me, I'm going. If they let the dogs out, I'm going. If I perish, I perish. I'm going to see the king. And that's what Esther was saying. I know this is against the law, but look at what they're doing to my people.
Yes. Yes.
And if I sit here and let them do this to my people, because I'm in the high place, sitting high, looking low, pretty soon, guess what? They're going to do it to me. It's just a matter of time. They're going to do it to me. It's just a matter of time. We sitting on these big jobs.
Come on, preacher.
And we seeing all our people being discriminated against. We seeing all our people being misused and abused. And we don't want to open our mouths.
Go ahead, tell it.
Because it's not happening to us. I'm in with the boss.
Come on, preacher.
I'm in with management.
All right.
They like me. They treat me nice. So y'all gonna perish. Y'all lose y'all job. Don't get your promotion. Don't get your increase. I'm going to get mine.
Yeah, it's coming.
No, it's just a matter of time.
Hallelujah.
Because when they see us the same way they see them.
Yes, it do.
And it's just a matter of time. And that's what Esther, this is what Mordecai, the wise cousin, is mentoring his young cousin and saying, baby, don't think because you so beautiful. Don't think because you so young.
Yes, sir.
Don't think because you got it all going on. And you the king's favorite.
Yeah, you just don't know.
That it's going to work for you. Because soon as they find out
That
you're a Jew, they're going to kill you too.
off with her head.
Sometimes you have to fast,
Yes.
pray,
Yeah.
It ain't all about us.
No.
It ain't all about us. We got to support each other.
I hear you, preacher.
When you hurt, I should hurt. When you cry, I should cry. What affects you should affect me. Sometimes you have to go against all odds, knowing you could lose it all.
All right.
That's a risk, y'all.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
That's a risk. But it takes courage
Yes, sir.
to go against all odds. Because at the end, guess what? You want to win.
Yeah.
Because that's what God had called you for such a time as this.
Yes.
Rosa Parks. Did she give up and give her seat away?
No, she didn't give it.
God called her for such a time
Yes.
as this.
Yes.
What she did changed America.
Come on.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. You see what that happened to Haman? He went out to kill the Jews. He made the gallows for the Jews, for Mordecai to be home. They used that same gallows to hang him on. So you got to be careful when you digging them ditches. Come on here.
Come on. Might have to dig too.
Come on here. Because the ditch that you're digging for somebody else, you might fall into it yourself. And see, that was his whole goal. Y'all remember Hitler? What was he doing? Killing all the Jews. No different than this story I'm telling here today. Look at what happened to him.
Yeah.
And they want to take us back to them days. Don't worry about your enemies. Don't worry about your enemies. For the ditch they are digging for you is the same one that they're going to fall into. That same old ditch they over there digging for you with your name written on it. Because they got so much bitterness and hatred for you. You ain't did nothing to them. All you did was try to love them. All you did was try to treat them good. All you did was try to treat them right. But they done went and dug a ditch for you. And they not going to be satisfied until they think you fall into it, but you ain't going to fall into it. You ain't going to fall into it. They going to fall into it.
Yes.
And God going to let you see them fall into it. He going to let you see them fall into it. But when they fall into it, let us not gloat.
That's right. That's right.
Because God say he'll take it away.
Yes.
When they fall into it, all we got to do is say, Lord, you told me to be still. And you was going to exalt me in due season. So now I done been still. I done kept my mouth closed. I done did what you told me to do. I done act. I didn't retaliate. You say vengeance is yours. You want to repay.
Come on.
They think that they are preparing a ditch for you. But it is meant for them. For such a time as this. God has called you. Each and every one of y'all.
Yes.
From the youngest to the oldest. God has called you for such
Amen.
a time as this. And you know what God has called you to do. You already know. I can't tell you. Because he ain't showed me what he called you to do. He showed me what he called me to do. But he ain't showed me what he called you to do. But each and every one of y'all know what God has called you to do. And y'all got to get on the job. Amen.